What if the very thing you're trying hardest to do is the exact reason she's pulling away? Most men believe attraction comes from chasing, impressing, and proving themselves. But the truth is far more powerful and far more dangerous. The man who remains calm when everyone else is reacting is the man she can't stop thinking about. Stay until the end, because one subtle mistake destroys masculine calm instantly, and most men make it every single day. One of the greatest misunderstandings about masculinity is the belief that power must always be visible. Many men grow up thinking strength is measured by how loudly they speak, how quickly they react, or how forcefully they impose their opinions on others. They are taught that being dominant means always having the last word, always defending themselves, and always proving that they are in control. Yet the most powerful men rarely operate this way. Real power is not found in constant action. It is found in the ability to choose your actions wisely. It is found in restraint. It is found in emotional discipline. It is found in the quiet confidence of a man who does not feel threatened by every challenge, disagreement, or inconvenience that enters his life. Calmness is not the absence of strength. Calmness is strength under control. A man who remains composed when others are losing control demonstrates something far more impressive than aggression ever could. He shows that his emotions belong to him and not to the circumstances around him. Many people confuse calmness with passivity because they only understand strength when it is loud. They assume that if a man is not reacting, he must be weak. If he is not arguing, he must be afraid. If he is not fighting for attention, he must lack confidence. But the truth is often the opposite. The strongest man is frequently the one who feels no need to prove his strength. He understands that not every comment deserves a response, not every challenge deserves engagement, and not every situation requires his energy. This level of self-control comes from a deep sense of security. When you know who you are, you stop feeling the need to defend your identity every time someone questions it. When you understand your value, you stop chasing opportunities to demonstrate it. Your confidence becomes internal rather than external. It becomes something you carry rather than something you perform. A calm man walks through life differently because he is not constantly seeking validation from the world around him. He does not need every interaction to confirm his worth. He does not become anxious when people disagree with him. He does not panic when plans change unexpectedly. He does not feel compelled to control every outcome. Instead, he understands that uncertainty is a natural part of life. He trusts himself enough to navigate challenges without allowing fear to dominate his thinking. This trust creates a sense of stability that people immediately notice. In a world where so many individuals are driven by impulse, insecurity, and emotional reactivity, calmness becomes incredibly rare, and anything rare becomes valuable. People naturally gravitate toward those who remain grounded because calmness creates a feeling of certainty in an uncertain world. This does not mean a calm man lacks ambition, passion, or conviction. In fact, the opposite is often true. He may have strong opinions, clear goals, and high standards, but he is not controlled by the emotional turbulence that causes others to make poor decisions. He understands that reacting emotionally can provide temporary satisfaction while creating long-term problems. He knows that patience often produces better outcomes than impulsiveness. He recognizes that true confidence does not need to announce itself every moment. His energy is directed toward meaningful action rather than unnecessary reactions. While others become consumed by proving themselves, he focuses on improving himself. While others chase attention, he develops substance. While others seek power through control, he develops power through mastery of his own mind. When a man embodies this type of calmness, his presence begins to change the dynamics of every room he enters. People sense that he is not easily shaken. They notice that he does not react to pressure the way most people do. He remains thoughtful when others become emotional. He remains focused when others become distracted. He remains steady when others become chaotic. This consistency creates trust, respect, and admiration because it signals emotional maturity. It shows that his behavior is guided by principles rather than moods. It demonstrates that he is capable of handling responsibility without being overwhelmed by it. The ability to remain calm during moments of uncertainty, conflict, and pressure reveals a level of inner strength that cannot be faked, borrowed, or manufactured through appearances alone. One of the most attractive qualities a man can possess is emotional control, yet it is also one of the rarest qualities to find. Most people assume attraction is built through appearance, status, money, charm, or the ability to say the right things at the right time. While those things may capture attention temporarily, they do not create the deep level of respect and fascination that emotional control creates. The reason is simple. Emotional control reflects something much deeper than external traits. It reveals character. It shows how a man responds when life becomes uncomfortable. Anyone can appear confident when circumstances are favorable, when they are receiving attention, and when everything is going according to plan. The real test begins when things become uncertain. The real test begins when expectations are not met, when emotions become intense, and when outcomes are no longer guaranteed. It is during these moments that emotional control becomes visible, and it is during these moments that people reveal who they truly are. Many men lose attraction not because they lack value, but because they allow their emotions to dictate their behavior. The moment they sense distance, they become anxious. The moment they encounter rejection, they become reactive. The moment they face uncertainty, they begin overthinking every detail. Instead of remaining grounded, they allow fear to take control of their decisions. Their thoughts become consumed by what someone else is thinking, feeling, or doing. Their focus shifts away from their own purpose and becomes centered on seeking reassurance. This emotional dependence slowly erodes the confidence that initially made them attractive. Attraction thrives in confidence, but confidence cannot survive where emotional instability dominates. When a man constantly reacts to every emotional trigger, he communicates that his internal state is controlled by external circumstances. Emotional control does not mean suppressing feelings or pretending that emotions do not exist. It means understanding them without becoming a prisoner to them. A mature man feels disappointment, frustration, excitement, fear, and uncertainty just like everyone else. The difference is that he does not allow those emotions to take control of his actions. He recognizes what he feels, processes it intelligently, and chooses his response carefully. This ability creates a sense of stability that people find incredibly attractive because it is so uncommon. In a world where many individuals react impulsively, someone who remains composed stands out immediately. He becomes a source of calm rather than chaos. He creates emotional safety because his behavior is predictable even when circumstances are not. One of the clearest signs of emotional control is the ability to remain centered during challenges. When disagreements occur, emotionally reactive individuals often become defensive. They feel attacked, misunderstood, or threatened. Their goal becomes winning the argument rather than understanding the situation. A man with emotional control approaches conflict differently. He listens before reacting. He evaluates before speaking. He understands that losing control of his emotions weakens his position rather than strengthening it. His confidence allows him to remain calm without feeling the need to dominate every conversation. He understands that strength is demonstrated through composure, not aggression. This level of self-mastery creates respect because it shows that his actions are driven by wisdom rather than impulse. The reason emotional control creates attraction is because it signals maturity, confidence, and reliability all at once. It tells people that this man can handle pressure without falling apart. It suggests that he can navigate difficult situations without creating unnecessary drama. It demonstrates that his confidence is not dependent on constant validation or perfect circumstances. He remains steady whether things are going well or poorly. He does not become arrogant during success or defeated during setbacks. His emotional consistency communicates a quiet form of strength that is impossible to ignore. While many people spend their lives trying to control others, the man who learns to control himself develops a presence that naturally commands attention, respect, and admiration from those around him. One of the biggest reasons people lose their power in relationships and in life is because they become dependent on validation. They begin measuring their worth through the reactions of others. They feel confident when they receive attention and insecure when they do not. Their mood rises and falls based on how much approval they are getting from the people around them. This creates a dangerous cycle because the moment your self-worth becomes dependent on external validation, you hand over control of your confidence to someone else. You are no longer operating from a position of strength. You are operating from a position of need, and neediness, no matter how well it is disguised, is something people can sense. Human beings are naturally drawn toward those who are secure within themselves and naturally pull away from those who constantly seek reassurance. The man who requires validation is always searching for evidence that he is enough. The man who no longer needs validation already knows his value before anyone else confirms it. Many men mistakenly believe that attraction is created by earning constant approval. They think if they can impress enough people, say all the right things, gain enough attention, or receive enough compliments, they will finally feel secure. But validation is like a temporary drug. It creates a short-lived emotional high that quickly fades, forcing them to seek more of it. The more dependent they become on external approval, the more anxious they become whenever it is absent. A delayed response, a disagreement, a lack of attention, or a minor rejection suddenly feels much bigger than it actually is because their confidence was built upon something unstable. They are no longer standing on their own foundation. They are standing on the opinions of others. The problem with that foundation is that opinions constantly change. What one person admires today, another may criticize tomorrow. When your self-worth depends on outside approval, your confidence becomes fragile because it can be shaken by circumstances you cannot control. A man who does not need validation operates differently. His confidence comes from his own standards, values, and accomplishments rather than from the applause of others. He understands that people will have different opinions about him, and he does not spend his life trying to manage those opinions. He knows that no matter how successful, attractive, intelligent, or capable he becomes, there will always be someone who misunderstands him, disagrees with him, or fails to appreciate him. Because he accepts this reality, he stops chasing universal approval. He focuses instead on becoming someone he respects. This shift changes everything. Instead of asking, Do they like me? He begins asking, do I respect the way I am living? Instead of seeking constant reassurance, he develops self-trust. Instead of performing for attention, he acts according to his principles. This kind of self-assurance is incredibly magnetic because it creates authenticity. People are often exhausted by individuals who constantly adjust their personalities to gain approval. They can sense when someone is trying too hard to be liked. They can feel the insecurity beneath the performance. But a man who is comfortable with himself creates a completely different experience. He is not trying to convince anyone of his worth because he already believes in it. He does not need to exaggerate his achievements, seek constant praise, or demand recognition. His confidence feels natural because it comes from within. He speaks honestly because he is not afraid of disagreement. He makes decisions based on his values rather than public opinion. He remains consistent because his identity is not constantly shifting to satisfy the expectations of others. The absence of validation seeking creates a sense of freedom that people find deeply attractive. A man who does not depend on approval is able to remain calm when attention fades, composed when criticism appears, and focused when others become distracted by what people think of them. He is not controlled by compliments, nor is he destroyed by rejection. His emotional state remains stable because it is rooted in self-respect rather than external feedback. This stability creates presence. It creates confidence. It creates mystery because his actions are not driven by the desperate desire to be accepted. While others spend their lives chasing approval from the world, he invests his energy into building character, competence, discipline, and purpose, allowing his value to speak for itself without constantly asking for permission to believe in it. In a world that rewards constant noise, many people underestimate the power of silence. They believe influence comes from talking more, explaining more, defending more, and constantly making their presence known. They assume that if they are not speaking, they are losing control of the situation. As a result, they fill every moment with words, often without realizing that excessive talking can reveal insecurity rather than confidence. The need to constantly explain yourself usually comes from a fear of being misunderstood, rejected, or judged. It comes from the belief that if people do not immediately understand your intentions, you must convince them. But true confidence operates differently. A confident man understands that not every thought needs to be spoken, not every criticism needs to be answered, and not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. He is comfortable allowing silence to exist because he does not feel threatened by it. He trusts that his actions, character, and consistency will communicate more than endless explanations ever could. Many people become uncomfortable when silence enters a conversation because silence forces them to confront uncertainty. When there is a pause, they immediately feel pressure to fill it. They begin talking simply to avoid discomfort rather than because they have something meaningful to say. This is why so many conversations become filled with unnecessary words. People are often speaking not because communication is needed, but because silence makes them anxious. A man who is comfortable with silence demonstrates emotional security. He does not rush to fill every gap because he is not afraid of what others might think during those moments. He remains relaxed in the absence of constant interaction. This quality is rare because most people rely on words to create a sense of control. They believe that if they keep talking, they can manage perceptions, influence outcomes, and prevent rejection. Yet the opposite is often true. The more someone feels compelled to constantly explain themselves, the more they reveal uncertainty about their own position. Silence becomes especially powerful during emotional situations. When tensions rise, most people react immediately. They defend themselves before fully understanding the issue. They interrupt before listening. They allow emotion to push them toward impulsive responses that they later regret. A man who understands the value of silence recognizes that immediate reactions are not always necessary. He gives himself time to think before speaking. He allows emotions to settle before making decisions. He understands that words spoken in frustration often create problems that calm thinking could have prevented. His silence is not avoidance. It is discipline. It is the ability to pause between feeling and emotion and acting upon it. That pause gives him control over his responses, while others become controlled by theirs. There is also a quiet mystery that silence creates. People are naturally curious about individuals who do not reveal everything immediately. When someone constantly talks about themselves, shares every thought, and explains every detail, there is very little left for others to discover. But when a man speaks with intention rather than excess, people begin paying closer attention. His words carry greater weight because they are not wasted. When he speaks, people listen because they understand that what he says is thoughtful and deliberate. His silence creates space for observation, reflection, and curiosity. It allows others to wonder what he is thinking rather than having every thought presented to them instantly. This does not mean becoming distant or emotionally unavailable. It means understanding that meaningful communication is not measured by quantity, but by quality. The strongest communicators are often not the people who talk the most. They are the people who know when to speak and when to remain silent. They understand that listening is just as important as expressing. They observe details others miss because they are not constantly focused on what they will say next. Their silence allows them to gather information, understand people more deeply, and respond with greater wisdom. In a culture where everyone is competing to be heard, the ability to remain composed and intentional with words becomes a sign of maturity and strength. Silence stops being an empty space that needs to be filled and becomes a tool that communicates confidence, patience, emotional control, and self-assurance without requiring a single unnecessary word. Anyone can appear confident when life is comfortable. It is easy to feel strong when things are going according to plan, when people are supportive, and when circumstances are working in your favor. During these moments, confidence requires very little effort because there is no real challenge testing your character. The true measure of confidence is not how you behave when everything is easy. The true measure of confidence is how you respond when pressure enters your life. Pressure has a unique way of exposing what is genuine and what is merely performance. It strips away appearances and reveals the foundation beneath them. A man may speak confidently, present himself confidently, and even convince others that he is confident. But when difficulties arise, the truth becomes visible. The way he handles setbacks, uncertainty, criticism, failure, and adversity reveals whether his confidence is real or whether it was dependent on favorable conditions. Many people mistake confidence for certainty. They believe confident individuals always know exactly what will happen and never experience doubt. In reality, confidence has very little to do with certainty. Confidence is not the belief that everything will go perfectly. It is the belief that you can handle yourself even when things do not go perfectly. A man with genuine confidence does not need guarantees before taking action. He understands that life is unpredictable and that challenges are unavoidable. Instead of trying to eliminate every risk, he develops trust in his ability to adapt. This trust becomes especially visible during difficult situations. While others become overwhelmed by uncertainty, he remains focused on solutions. While others panic because they cannot control every outcome, he concentrates on controlling his actions, decisions, and mindset. His confidence comes from self-belief rather than from circumstances. Pressure affects everyone differently. For some people, pressure creates fear. For others, it creates frustration, anxiety, or self-doubt. When challenges appear, insecurities that were previously hidden often rise to the surface. People begin questioning themselves, their abilities, and their future. Their emotions become stronger than their judgment, causing them to react impulsively. A confident man experiences pressure too, but he does not allow it to dictate his behavior. He understands that emotional discomfort is a natural part of growth. Instead of viewing pressure as evidence that something is wrong, he sees it as a test of resilience. He accepts that meaningful goals, worthwhile relationships, and personal growth all require navigating uncomfortable situations. Because of this perspective, he does not run from pressure. He learns how to function within it. One of the clearest signs of confidence under pressure is emotional consistency. Many individuals become completely different people when life becomes difficult. Their patience disappears, their discipline weakens, their decision-making deteriorates. They become reactive, defensive, and emotionally unstable. A confident man strives to remain consistent regardless of circumstances. He understands that pressure is temporary, but that the consequences of poor decisions can last much longer. Instead of allowing fear or frustration to control him, he maintains his standards and principles. He continues acting according to his values, even when doing so becomes difficult. This consistency earns respect because people know they can rely on him. His behavior is not determined by his mood. It is determined by his character. Pressure also reveals how much responsibility a man is willing to accept. In difficult moments, many people search for someone else to blame. They point toward circumstances, other people, bad luck, or unfair situations. Blame offers temporary relief because it removes personal responsibility. However, it also removes personal power. A confident man approaches challenges differently. He focuses on what he can influence rather than what he cannot. He takes ownership of his decisions and learns from his mistakes. He understands that growth requires accountability. This mindset allows him to move forward while others remain trapped in resentment and excuses. The ability to accept responsibility during difficult times demonstrates strength because it requires honesty, humility, and courage. The reason confidence becomes most visible under pressure is because adversity forces people to reveal what they truly believe about themselves. When comfort disappears, only inner conviction remains. A man who has built genuine confidence through discipline, self-respect, competence, and experience does not need perfect circumstances to feel secure. He remains composed when challenges arise because his confidence was never dependent on external conditions in the first place. While pressure causes some people to lose control, abandon their principles, or retreat into fear, it allows a truly confident man to demonstrate the strength, resilience, and self-mastery that were present within him all along. One of the most misunderstood aspects of attraction is the belief that excitement alone is enough to create a deep connection. Many men spend years trying to become more attractive by focusing entirely on excitement. They try to be unpredictable, entertaining, impressive, and constantly stimulating. While excitement certainly plays a role in attraction, it is only one piece of a much larger picture. What many people fail to understand is that attraction grows strongest when excitement and emotional safety exist together. Excitement creates interest, but safety creates trust. Excitement captures attention, but safety allows connection to deepen. When a man possesses masculine calm, he naturally creates both at the same time. He provides stability without becoming boring and confidence without becoming intimidating. His calmness communicates strength while his confidence creates intrigue. This combination is incredibly rare because many people lean too heavily toward one side while completely neglecting the other. Emotional safety does not come from being passive, agreeable, or constantly accommodating. It comes from consistency. People feel safe around those whose behavior is predictable in character, even if life itself remains unpredictable. A calm man does not create unnecessary emotional chaos. He does not explode over minor inconveniences. He does not allow every frustration to become a conflict. He does not create an environment where people must constantly monitor his mood to avoid triggering a reaction. Instead, his emotional stability allows others to relax. They know that challenges can arise without everything falling apart. They know disagreements can occur without turning into emotional warfare. This sense of security is incredibly valuable because modern life contains enough uncertainty already. People naturally gravitate toward those who bring peace rather than adding more chaos. At the same time, masculine calm does not mean becoming emotionally flat or predictable in a negative sense. There is a misconception that calm men lack excitement, passion, or intensity. In reality, true calmness often makes these qualities even more powerful. Because a calm man is not constantly reacting emotionally, his emotions carry greater meaning when they do appear. His passion feels genuine rather than performative. His affection feels intentional rather than desperate. His enthusiasm feels authentic because it is not being forced. There is a quiet confidence in his presence that creates curiosity. He is not trying to impress people every moment, which makes his attention feel more valuable when he chooses to give it. His calmness creates mystery because people recognize that there is depth beneath the surface. He does not reveal everything immediately, and that naturally encourages greater interest and fascination. One reason masculine calm creates attraction is because it demonstrates emotional strength. Emotional strength is often confused with emotional suppression, but the two are completely different. Suppression involves ignoring emotions, while strength involves managing them effectively. A calm man feels deeply, but he is not controlled by what he feels. He can experience disappointment without becoming defeated. He can experience frustration without becoming destructive. He can experience uncertainty without becoming anxious and reactive. This level of self-mastery signals maturity because it shows that he is capable of handling life's challenges without allowing them to consume him. People trust individuals who can manage themselves because self-control creates reliability. Reliability creates security. Security creates emotional safety. There is also an element of excitement that comes from knowing a man possesses strength that does not need constant demonstration. Many people are impressed by visible displays of power, but true confidence often operates quietly. A calm man does not feel compelled to announce his value. He does not seek validation through dominance, attention-seeking behavior, or constant displays of superiority. Instead, his confidence exists naturally within him. This creates a different kind of attraction because people sense that his strength is real. It is not dependent on applause, recognition, or approval. The fact that he does not need to prove himself makes him more intriguing. His calmness communicates that he is comfortable with who he is, and that comfort becomes contagious. Others begin feeling more comfortable around him because his presence is not driven by insecurity or emotional volatility. The unique power of masculine calm is that it satisfies two fundamental emotional needs at the same time. It creates safety because it it provides stability, consistency, and emotional reliability. It creates excitement because it reflects confidence, mystery, self-assurance, and inner strength. Most people spend their lives searching for one while sacrificing the other. They pursue excitement that lacks stability or stability that lacks energy. A man who develops masculine calm brings both qualities together in a way that feels rare and unforgettable. His presence becomes reassuring without being predictable, confident without being arrogant, strong without being aggressive, and emotionally grounded without losing the spark that naturally draws people closer.